Hey guys, what's going on? Dace here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I don't think I've ever actually done this before. This is going to be a bit of a shmupdate, as I'm going to call them, or some sort of, it could be like shmup diaries, Dace's shmup diaries, or maybe just like shmup journal or whatever. Anyway, the point is, I decided, you know what, I do like first look style vids and all this kind of stuff, but I typically don't ever return to games in terms of doing further videos, of course, unless it's something I'm really into, like Stared In, where I do like a first look and then I do like, oh, all secret bosses, and then sometimes reviews or whatever. But anyway, what happened was my first look of this Cecconoid game, which was such an awesome one to check out, was about like half an hour, and I barely got anywhere in this. So you know what, the day after checking that out, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just, like, I'm getting so much farther and farther that I'm gonna do another video. And of course it's gonna be half the amount of time because I've just gotten better at the game so far. So I figured I would jump in, showcase the different areas that I have now reached, and just talk a little bit about how the game is striking me now, as opposed to like the things I shared in the first look video. So anyway, where to begin? Like, for the most part, it's really interesting because, and I probably touched on this, I don't recall exactly everything that I said when playing it, but I probably mentioned something to the effect of how this game is really all about just calculating like everything to a T and making sure you do not fumble anything. It's a very, very, it's not that you have to play it slow, but in ways you want to just be really, really careful. You kind of want to take it slow just because, oh yeah, like there's just something about this kind of game where like it just requires a precision, and if you start messing things up, it's easy to just be without any of your upgrades, and then suddenly you're slow all over again and you just have the pea shooter. So in a sense, like, and there will be some things I point out coming up not too long from now where I intentionally just wait until something is like finished, and it's just because, like, even though you're only like, let's say 4 or 5 minutes in, you don't want to risk anything because it's just like, oh, I just worked my ass off for 4 and 5 minutes. I don't even want to take the chance. I just want to like keep this as pristine as possible. So there will be 1 or 2 moments like that where we're kind of just like hanging out on the screen until something is done doing what it's doing. But anyway, that's kind of something I want to mention. Like, as much as I'm loving this game, it's really not one that I'm playing a ton, or that I would really want to play a ton. And it's not that I don't think it's a really sweet game. I think it's just catering to a certain audience, like people who are really, really hardcore about like retro style stuff, which I am in ways, but I think this game does certain things, or it demands certain things that are kind of just, yeah, it's interesting because like I love things that are punishing and unforgiving, but there's something that this game does that is kind of just a little too much like that, where you play for 15 minutes, like we'll see here, and then you mess up over a single room, which you just get wrecked in, and it's just like, oh man, like I barely got to like experiment or see what the hell was gonna work or be better to do. So in that sense, it's like, oh, like I pretty much do 1 run a night at this point, just because, like, as much as I like it, I'm not crazy enough to just keep banking run after run, because I know it's like you've got to just do everything to a T for 15 minutes, and if you messed up, then it's like, okay, you've got to just redo the exact same thing. And even though that sounds like every other shmup, there's just something about this one that rubs me a certain way. So anyway, actually the room above the one we're right in now is the one which I made it to in the first video, and we didn't get beyond that. So everything from, I think we're almost at 5 minutes, everything from here on out is going to be new. So anyway, as you can see, we take care of these guys so easily compared to when we first showed up in the other video, and it was just like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Like, noises are going off and all this stuff. So here's the first room in which we're gonna see an example of just kind of like waiting around. Now, I didn't mean to go back and forth, but essentially there are 2 rooms in which I'm very, actually maybe more than 2. There are a few rooms in which these missile turrets, I just, like, as much as I could experiment with finding like the angle in which to approach and like safely get rid of him, it's just like excuse me, it's just, to me, there's no point, because it's like you're 5 minutes in and playing so well, you don't want to mess anything up, you don't want to lose a single life, you don't want to repeat anything. So I've just resorted to hanging out until it runs out of missiles, which it does. There it goes right now. So then it's safe, and it doesn't take very long, but that's something that I've just kind of been like, you know what, I'm not going to experiment yet, I just really don't want to mess up. So that's kind of the approach that I've been using for that. Okay, so pretty straightforward room. Actually, in this run there is a really lame fumble, and it's coming up in a room soon enough. Now you'll notice I skipped that one. I was kind of wanting to experiment with just keeping the tri-shot, but then I realized, oh, there's another one of these straight shot things in here that I didn't mean to get, so I got it anyway. So anyway, we're already seeing so much. We're actually, this is where we cross from the excuse me, God, from left to right earlier, so we're kind of just like retracing our steps, but of course we came back to this area from a section that was previously blocked off from us. So now this is open and we are just taking out these little dudes, which is pretty simple, straightforward stuff. There are no additional waves, it's just you take out this cloud of guys and then you're free to go. So you start seeing more stuff in here, and it's really neat just to see the balance of the game. Just like sometimes you'll have crazy rooms, and then you'll have a room like this where nothing's happening, and then you'll have a room like this where things like that was so avoidable, that was so ridiculous. These guys are dangerous because their attacks are wonky, and if you're not careful, then you can just have such a mess like I did when I first got in here. And of course there is a secret passage, which I always make use of. So we just got an extra life, and I am overly cautious. Like, I'll take out the bouncing orb dudes from the top layer here, and then I will just wait for this missile guy to run out, because like it is just not worth losing a life. Lives are so precious, it's crazy. So he's done doing his thing. And there's no reason to go the other way, because I think it just connects to some other place we have been to. So yeah, and there's no reason to even go through there, to be honest. Like, it's just, it doesn't serve any purpose when you can just go the top route. But then again, have I been oh, interesting. Maybe I will explore that at some point, because sometimes you just assume that you know where it's connecting in terms of like coming out on the other side, but like going around. So maybe that's actually something I will explore. But yeah, interestingly enough, we're almost at like it's looking like 10 minutes, so we're almost at the end of this run, because it's not going for too much longer, I don't think. But yeah, like, it's really, it's just really strange, because like I love stuff like this. This is literally the Metroid 2 of like shmups. Like the visuals, the exploration, just the vibe, and the just wanting to be so careful and that kind of stuff, and not sure what's around the next corner. It just really gives me that feeling. But yeah, like I said, there's just something about it that's just like, oh, like you just, it kind of in ways is promoting that you play so to a T that you just, in some ways I feel like that kind of just takes away from certain things. Or maybe if someone was so into this game like even way more than I am. Maybe it would just be a totally different experience for them, and that would be cool too. But anyway, so we're making progress. I'm taking these sections very carefully all the time because I just never want to fumble anything up. So just always keeping my distance, not taking chances when it comes to like stray shots coming here or there. Just letting the little spinning orb thing do his work, or even just through the wall like that. And like this guy on the corner, I'll just take full advantage of stuff like that because there's just no reason to risk any of that nonsense. Oh man, but this game, crazy. And interestingly enough, I looked it up and I think there are only a little over 40 or so levels, so I haven't kept track personally, but I feel like I've done the bulk of them because in this game or at least according to the Nintendo website, like game description and all that kind of stuff, it's just like, ooh, get Solomon's key and then go do one other thing and then you're pretty much done the game, I think. And we'll see me get the key in this video, and then we actually see in this video some sections that I was getting to for the first time during this recording, so that was pretty exciting too. But so I don't think there's actually much left in the game. It's just a matter of surviving a handful more levels, I would imagine. And this is another room where it's just like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna wait for you. So as you can see, there's a bottom right corner with what looks like the starting structure where we like warped in or whatever. So to the left is a nasty room where we get the key, and then we just come and bring it back to that spot. So I've done it flawlessly before, but there are some really big nasties, plus all these other twerps. So yeah, it can be ridiculous at times. Oh my god. And the thing is, like, it's so easy to just not pay attention or lose track of like where the line dudes are. Like, we're just pissing away lives. I've had like that is so ridiculous. I've had some runs where like I go from 8 or 9 lives in this one room. I think the first time actually I went from like all these lives just to 0, like one death after another, just because I had no idea what the hell was going on. And if you don't save that for when you come back, let's say you die and then you're at the slow speed, you physically, like, you cannot make it past there unless you have saved that. So anyway, the other day when I made it to this for the first time, I was like, oh man, I must be like near the end or something. And I took, in this recording anyway, I took some time to just explore the walls and stuff just in case there were passages. But the first time I got to this, I had, I'm not sure, like 3 or 4 lives, and I did not even make it through this thing. It was crazy. But the next time I got here, I had a single life, and I made it through unscathed. And I've gotten much better at like just knowing what to do and where to go for that. And then the first time I got to this screen, in another run, I had 1 life left, and of course I fumbled it. And it was like, no, I don't want to go through those lasers again, but I have a better idea of how to do it this time. Sometimes when you like nudge the D-pad or the stick, whatever you're using, it can send you too far. So even though you're wanting to leave from the one coming, like you're obviously going to be going in between, but if you're not leaving it so that you're close to them, sometimes you can jump ahead too far and then hit the guy that you're following up or down. So that's how I died the first time. And I was going to wait for these missile things to stop, as you'll see, but then I was just like, you know what, let's just get the hell in here and just take these guys out, because it's just gonna be crazy. And then there's this room. So this kind of stuff, it's easy to stay on top of, and it's kind of like a nice way they balanced it, where you have like 1 or 2 crazy rooms, and then you just have something a little more laid back that you can just kind of like take your time with, and it's nice. But the next room coming up was a doozy. It was brutal, and you'll see why. Like, I didn't make it through this. This is the last room of this run. So as you can see, like, now, of course, when I went in here, I was sort of just like in that mode of like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, shots are flying everywhere. After the recording, I went back and looked at what was happening, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually not as crazy as it looks, because I noticed, like, the thing is, when you're in that moment for the first time, you're not noticing everything that's going on. But then, of course, when I went back, it was like, oh, okay, there are just certain spots you can stay when they're firing off just to avoid stuff. Of course, it's still a pretty crazy room, but I feel like the next time I go there, it's going to be that much better. So anyway, that's a bit of an update on my progress in Cecconoid. Really enjoying this, but at the same time, as mentioned earlier, like, I don't feel like putting the time into run after run in the same day, because it's very demanding that you play and just preserve your precious lives and resources. And another thing too, like, in some of the rooms with tons of guys, like, you don't want to stray too far from the door, because if you get killed on the opposite side because you traveled there and then you lose all your power-ups, you will not be fast enough to make it back to your cloud of power-ups to pick them up and all that kind of stuff. So it's just best to, like, stay closer where you're actually going to be able to retrieve them and use them. So anyway, that's going to wrap this up, you guys. Let me know what you think if you're playing this, or if you would like to. Just feel free to share your thoughts, and we will see you next time.